This is WBSM On Demand. The time is now to talk about everything happening here on the South Coast and beyond. It's time for South Coast Now with Chris McCarthy. Call into the show at 508-996-0500 or send Chris an app chat message or open line voicemail on the WBSM app. It's the most interactive show on the South Coast. It's South Coast Now.
Good morning. Boy, it's bright out there. It's bright. It's very nice. It was, it's obviously it's cold, but it's February. Well, the last day of February. And really, spring is right around the corner. That's nice. But it really is beautiful out there. Really beautiful. Bundle up, but it's a beautiful day. Boy, what a windy night, huh? That was some real wind. That was pretty loud last night. Generally nothing gets in my way of sleeping, but that did, actually. The wind was whipping at such a pace that I really couldn't sleep. Anyway, so yesterday we had the mayor. I think that the mayor clarified first of all, he's never been cloudy about his position on the NIP ban, but there have been various people talking about it that created some confusion. Mayor John Mitchell yesterday, when I asked him the question, answered it very clearly. He is not changing his mind on the NIP ban. Let me tell you something. If you know John Mitchell, and you all do, John Mitchell doesn't come to a decision without thinking about it. And when he thinks about it, he comes to what he believes to be the best decision. He doesn't change his mind. Not often. The licensing board did delay the implementation of the NIP ban. They delayed it. But they're locked in on their position too. 9 more months, you're not going to be able to buy a small bottle of alcohol in the city of New Bedford. You're not. You're not going to be able to buy a small bottle of alcohol in the city of New Bedford. Those days are over. City Council has tried. It's why the appointments to the licensing board are so important. And that if you vote for any of the 3 men who voted to ban NIPs, you are agreeing with them on their position, that they have the power to ban NIPs and that you agree it was the right decision. It's the only way the public can interpret a city council vote on the licensing board members. You can't be against the NIP ban and vote to confirm any one of the 3 members of the board who voted to ban NIPs. Because it's millions of dollars. And they didn't even do an economic study. It's such a consequential vote for the city council to go along with it by confirming any one of these three gentlemen. The only way you can determine, because look, anybody can say, I don't like the nip ban, put a motion on the floor of the city council, any one member of the city council, you get up, you talk about it, you know, it doesn't have any teeth. It's easy. Anybody can do that. Any member of the city council. The real tough vote is when you have to vote against the person that implemented the nip ban. So stay tuned for that. That battle is still going on. The mayor has clearly recognized that steel beats mush, right? Steel beats mush. A firm position beats an unfirm position. Now, if you care about NIPS, if you care about the millions of dollars in revenue lost by these small businesses, you have to look for alternative ways. I think that the next step for the city council, above and beyond voting up or down on the individual members of the licensing board, is a non-binding ballot question. Now, I'm not a fan of non-binding ballot questions, except that it is a way to get the public to weigh in on the decision. It's a way to build up momentum. Now, I could see a vote by the public that says they don't want nips sold in the city of New Bedford, that they don't think small bottles of alcohol, which are easily concealable, are what they want being sold in the city of New Bedford. I do think there is a significant part of the population that agrees with the mayor. By the way, so does he. Not an insignificant amount of people either. I mean, the mayor is the mayor, and he has been the mayor for many terms because he knows his constituents. He communicates with his constituents. He knows, or he believes he knows, how people feel about it. As he said yesterday, pointing to me, you couldn't see it, but he pointed to me and goes, we've all bought nips. I bought them and you've bought them. And he's correct. Because it's not that I'm above buying, a nip. Everyone's done it. It's no big deal. It's perfectly legal to do it. Quite frankly, it's a very economical way to buy alcohol, particularly if you're not a big drinker. But his point is, it leads to public drunkenness. He's not really, he's concerned with litter, but that's not his issue. It was the issue here in Fairhaven, I think. It was not the issue at all in Mattapoisett, where the town meeting voted it down. You understand, my issue with the nip ban, well, it's a couple, really. Consumer freedom. Consumer freedom is very important to me. But small businesses losing a lot of revenue, millions in revenue, that's important to me. I'm not really concerned with the litter any more than I am concerned with any other litter. I think people are pigs. They drive me crazy. I've told you before, here in this parking lot, we get everything into the corner here right out the window. Now, the ownership here does a good job cleaning the parking lot and the curb. But in between cleanings, we get scratch tickets, coffee cups, nips. We get all kinds of stuff. And that really has to do with people being pigs, obviously, and with the way this plaza is structured and the way the wind blows. No, my problem with the nip ban is how it was enacted. The true legislative authority in the city of New Bedford is the city council. The mayor's the executive. City council is the legislature. Just like here in the towns, the board of selectmen in conjunction with the town administrator, that's the executive. The true legislative body is town meeting. That's how they banned nips in Fairhaven, by town meeting. Mattapoisett brought it to a town meeting. It was rejected. Now, I think that a non-binding ballot question is the next step the city council should consider. I think then you'll get a true sense of how people feel, how the voters feel. So we'll stay tuned to that. Now, at 10 o'clock, I'll be joined by Leon Corey. Leon Corey is still the chairman of the Board of Selectmen here in Fairhaven. He's not running for re-election, but he is running for the Democrat State Committee. So how it works, and I know a lot of you know this, but it's kind of an obscure, nuanced position. So the Republican Party has a man and a woman from each senatorial district. State Senate district, okay? So this is the Senate district currently represented by Mark Montigny. So the Republicans have a man and a woman elected on the presidential ballot, as do the Democrats. The Democrats have a man and a woman from this Senate district. So that's Mattapoisett, Acushnet, Fairhaven, New Bedford, and Dartmouth. One man and one woman. So Leon Corey is running to be the state committee man for the Democrat Party in this district. So that will make him the leader of the Democrats in this area, along with his female, who I don't believe has a challenger, Lisa Lemieux. You guys know Lisa. Lisa's very active in the unions. She was an SEIU organizer. Oh, she also organized the anti-Israel demonstration downtown. The cutoff aid to Israel, pro-Hamas, from my perspective. She's on the state committee, Democrat state committee woman. I like Lisa. I see her out quite a bit. In fact, I've invited her on here. We've had her here as a guest periodically. She's big with the coalition, social justice, that crowd. So she'll be the state committee woman. She has been for a while, a couple terms now. But Leon wants to, he's running against the current incumbent, Charlie Mata. I know Charlie. I like Charlie. I saw him. He was at that tax meeting the other night in New Bedford. the public meeting. He actually got up and spoke. Obviously, I'll have to arrange with Charlie to get him in here. He stopped by the station the other day. So, I mean, look, I love these things. They are very specific jobs within the party. Basically, Leon's job and Charlie's job today is to recruit candidates and raise money, to build the party, to oversee the little city and town committees. So I'll be interested to hear what Leon has to say. He'll be here in the next hour. So if you want to call me, you can, 508-996-04. We've had some people on hold. 508-996-05. That's how you can get on the program. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning. How's it going?
What's happening, Carlos?
Yeah, so I attended the meeting last night. Not sure if you want me to discuss.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, I wasn't present, but I had someone there that was live, and I broadcast. I tried my best.
I tried my best to watch it.
Yeah, it was difficult. I got to redo something. I'm actually I thought that they were going to start doing these things live. Wasn't there an announcement where they were going to do all these meetings live? What happened to all that?
What happened in the meeting last night?
Well,
they were there in session, right?
Right. Apparently, there was a few things that happened. One of the odd things that happened, there was a special meeting called for 6:50. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the meeting was, but apparently Gomes wants an investigation into...
I believe it was the internal investigation committee. I saw that, too. I didn't quite understand it, but go ahead.
Right. So I think he's taking a shot at Giesta, in my opinion. Because she's the one that, pretty much was the head of everything that took place that ended up in its demise, where that building wasn't transformed into housing. So I think he's, if you're asking for an investigation...
Now, what building? What building are you asking for an investigation of?
The Phillips Avenue school. Remember that whole...
I do remember that. They wanted to sell it to Cruz Construction. They wanted to put in housing, and the neighbors got their counselor involved.
Well, Mason got a few people involved,
yes.
And he was a smart guy. He was involved in New York and politics, so he knew his way around things, and he successfully got Giesta to put a kibosh on it. I thought I didn't think it was a good idea at the time because we needed housing and all that. I understood that. Of course, you have to make sure there's parking, but I think that the Cruz people were willing to work with them. But at the time, so they put a kibosh on it. But Gomes is asking for an investigation, so I'm thinking, investigation into what? Is it the dealings of the city? Is it the dealings with Giesta and her committee? So I'm looking forward to see what that's about. I found it odd that it was only a 10-minute meeting, and they didn't even read it for the public. They just passed it. So that was kind of odd.
That'll be something to watch.
And then, they finally spoke up about the gun violence. Derek spoke up, asked some good questions. He finally spoke up. Shane spoke up, asked some really good questions. And, of course, the chief was, touting crime is down, but admitted that gun violence is up. I'm pretty sure that's what that most people are worried about right now is the violent crime, not people stealing bubble gum or stealing hubcaps or whatever.
No.
So,
right? I mean, the only thing that matters, look, you're going to have crime in any urban environment. You're not necessarily going to have people firing guns indiscriminately on the street. That is a bizarre behavior.
It's young children.
Right. It's bizarre.
Young children firing at each other, and they're stealing Kias and Hyundais, and, that's the new thing that's out there. So whoever owns a Hyundai or a Kia that doesn't have a key fob, make sure you put extra security, because the kids are stealing them and using them for drive-bys. That's true. I was a little disappointed because some of the councilors did speak up, but some of the councilors were very silent. And some of those councilors normally have something to say during debates or when they're on the radio, and they're very popular councilors and number one vote getter and stuff like that, and very silent. And that, to me, is not good. When you have someone who's so well connected to the community and he's not up there speaking about what's going on, especially when it's a public safety meeting that we haven't had one in about a year. It's been at least 10 months, whatever it was.
When you and Craig started saying that, right? I know how you guys feel about Brian Gomes, and I thought you were maybe being unfair, and
Right.
we can all do that. Well, I know it, right? But I went and looked, and you're right. It's been a long time since a public safety meeting was held.
Right. I'm not sure exactly. It's between.
I do. I know.
10 months, maybe.
Yeah. I know.
All right, so it's up there.
It's up there. It is a remarkable amount of time that went by without a meeting.
Right. And since then, there's been an officer detective shot. There's been a shooting in front of the police station down in the South End. There's shootings in front of stores in well-populated areas where there's children, parents, the whole nine. And, we have this opportunity to speak up. You can, even maybe just asking for more police or asking, whatever it is, anything. But if you're the representative of the people, I want to see you talk about these things, even if it's just a discussion or a back and forth question session, whatever it is.
Bringing attention to the issue.
Needs to be had.
Bringing attention to the issue. Right.
Right, because what happens is we go 10 months, 11 months with no discussion, and there's opportunities missed to correct things and maybe resolve some of these things. And, and then election time comes around and everybody talks a big game. But when they have the opportunity, in an elective body to sit together and get it done, they're not getting it done. And they need to. They need to hash out their differences, all their little petty baloney, investigating each other and trying to trip each other up. Put your efforts into the youth violence in the city. It's the number one problem in the city besides the backroom deals and boards pushing things. That's a big one too.
Yes.
This city right now needs an enema. I'm telling you.
All right, my friend. Thank you for that. Quoting Batman is a good way to end your segment. So look, I have said it many times, and I say it as a compliment. Brian Gomes is like a fire alarm, okay? He is at his best when he's warning us about things out there that he's seeing. He's out and about more than a lot of people, more than many of his colleagues. Not all, but many of them. And Councilor Gomes, I've always thought he does a great job at public safety. Number one, he has the cops back. He has the firefighters back. He has the EMS back. He recognizes how valuable they are. I think that Councilor Gomes has that bully pulpit as the public safety chairman. So when he's not using it, I think the city suffers, okay? I think the city does a lot better when Brian Gomes is telling everybody, hey, we're not going to put up with this, we're not going to put up with that. Because let me tell you something. Those kids, they're not all stupid. Their parents certainly aren't all stupid. They can hear a veteran city councilor, someone who gets elected year after year. Many of the grandparents and parents of the kids out there doing this chaos, they vote for Brian Gomes. So when Brian is sounding the alarm, he's speaking directly to the people who might be able to have an influence on these young men. It's primarily men who are causing this chaos. So I'm glad Brian had a public safety meeting. I'm glad he's back, using his bully pulpit. Because again, I think the city suffers when Brian is silent, And again, I know it's not always him out there talking about it, that he does other things. I get that. But I do think that one of his really big values to the city of New Bedford, to the South Coast region, is when he's banging the pulpit and pointing out what's going wrong and what he's seeing. And, people criticize him for grandstanding. I never do, because I recognize that what some people call grandstanding, maybe I recognize as a valuable function. It's called the bully pulpit. It's no different than what Teddy Roosevelt used to do. No different than what Tom Hodgson used to do on illegal immigration, right? So I appreciate when Brian Gomes does it, and I miss him when he doesn't. So You'll never hear me criticize Brian Gomes for what some people call grandstanding. I think it's an important contribution. I wish more people would do it, to tell you the truth. Anyway, 508-996-05. If you're on hold, stay there. I've gone long. I have to take a break. We'll be a short one, though. We'll be right back. I'm Chris McCarthy. Stick around. Let's get back to the air. We have two phone lines open now, 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
What's happening, Barry?
Oh, just waiting for the weather to break and warm up and the fish to come in.
Then we'll
what
be
else
out
can
there.
we do?
We'll be out there.
No football? What? Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Hey, I got to compliment some of your listeners and your listening audience. I ran into somebody, and I am amazed, Chris, at the amount of people that actually listen to your show and hear my silly voice.
Right.
But so I had someone, when I called up and talked about the park board and how they just willy-nilly issue these permits for people to have these, I don't want to say gatherings, but and one of the big things that comes up is what the park board does issue, or any board for that matter, what they issue permits for and what's allowable, and what I think is going to boil over when you, in hot weather, when you pour alcohol in the hot weather,
yep.
The violence that will come out of it. So I think they need to be more cognizant of that. But one of your listeners, Chris, came up to me and said to me, Barry, if a board member or a board breaks the law, why are they allowed to stay there? And I didn't know what he was talking about at first. Sharp guy, too. He said if they violate open meeting law, why aren't they all wiped out? Why aren't they all banished from being on the board?
Because that's a fundamental disregard of your duties, particularly if they do it intentionally. Now, there are times when you can break the open meeting law really unintentionally. Either you're all at a social gathering, because it really is in the eye of the attorney general, something like that. She doesn't believe that you weren't, But anyway, I agree with you, Barry. The mayor, so that's one of the things the city councilors have to keep in mind when they see a reappointment, things like the open meeting law.
Well, and if harm was done, I mean, you did an in-depth dive on the water park, and I'm looking out, and where's the water park right now? I don't see it. But, an in-depth dive, because the board, the mayor wanted it. Joe Lopes covered it up. We had Concom. We had all kinds of people look at this thing 6 ways to Sunday. And at the end of the day, it's not there. Why aren't they looking a little bit beyond what the mayor's asking for? Because the mayor just, willy-nilly comes up with these ideas. But why aren't we looking for some more longevity in our decisions, number one? And number two, public safety in our decisions and what may or may not come out of that. And is it worth it to the city? I mean, look at the contract that they signed for the water park. I hate to stick with the water park. We could go to anything. We could go to the soccer games that are being permitted.
Right.
What comes out of that?
We hear those soccer fields. We have callers who've called in, and you can hear it in their voice. I mean, it's a living hell for those neighbors.
Yeah. Yep. And what comes in? We got nips coming in. We got everything else. They buy groceries from another community, and they come here. You see all the Rhode Island plates. Who knows? I just think that your listeners, it was profound. His thought process. If you break the law, you shouldn't be allowed to serve on a board. And if they're breaking open meeting, and this is coming from someone who was thoroughly investigated for violating open meeting law back in the day when I was on the zoning board. Tipped upside down, all kinds of legal hours for the city to defend it. And we were found, not only were we innocent, but the gentleman that did the investigation said that it was the standard of how to conduct meetings. So anyways, just throwing that out to you, Chris.
Thanks, Barry. Appreciate it. Look, again, the licensing board members clearly had the decision made before they went to the meeting. The only way 3 people on a board can know what the other 2 are doing is if they've somehow violated the open meeting law. That's clear. That's clear. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris. Gilly Satfield.
Hey, Gilly, what's going on?
I was at that city council meeting last night. Okay. Now, it was they called the special meeting, and I got the agenda right here. It's for the Committee for Internal Affairs, February 2024 meeting at 6:50 p.m. City Council Chambers, Room 214, agenda. My only problem with this is that they had 3 questions on it, 3 motions. And the chair, which was Brian Gomes, that called the meeting for the Internal Affairs, states right underneath of the agenda, chair suggests waive reading and no further action and report out to the full city council. My question is, why did they waive the reading? The people out there have to know what they just did. Shouldn't they have read those 3 motions?
It certainly would be easier for the general public and the media to know what's going on. I agree with you.
Okay, now, I'm not sure about this, and I very rarely make things. I don't know if this 10-minute meeting was even taped, okay, because cable was there. But my main concern is they started the meeting, Brian Gomes started the meeting with only 5 city councilors in the chambers. Now, I'm under the impression when you start a meeting, you have to have 6.
Yes, I agree with you.
A quorum.
Well, hold on. Let me see. Because is that a committee of...
Well, that's the part that I don't know.
Right. I'm not sure what the full committee looks like, so I'm not sure what a quorum is.
Right. I agree with you. That's why I was like really surprised that they started it with only 5.
Yeah.
But do not make the reading public. Now, I'm going to read you the number 1 thing that Carl mentioned and everything. The first one, written motion, Councilor Gomes requesting that the Committee on Attorney Affairs investigate how the bidding process was done for the former Phillips Avenue School located on Ashley Boulevard, and that the committee be provided with all paperwork and bidding contracts submitted to this for this property, and further that the administration explain why former bidders on this property were not notified of the new bidding process of this building, reference November 23rd, 2021. Now, if you remember correctly, like Carlos brought up, Maria Giesta was against it. So was a gentleman that had a rooming house across the street.
Yeah, Mason now made it, yep.
And Brian was really for it.
He was.
And they lost. He lost.
Yes.
The way I look at this thing, it's a vendetta against Maria Giesta. That's the way I look at it. I could be wrong, but he's taking a shot at Maria Giesta for not following through. But there's other ones on here that he's making accusations, and they should have been read into the book, into the chambers.
I totally agree with you.
And then what they did, they went to the agenda right after that. They had a Committee of Public Safety and Neighborhood, February 28th meeting at 7 p.m. City Council Chambers, blah, blah, blah. And there was an issue. The number 1 issue was Seymour Street, of a business being there, and there was about 7 residents from that neighborhood.
Yes.
And they got up there and spoke and everything. But the thing that got me, I got a little suspicious was when they started the meeting. They weren't in the meeting for like maybe, I don't know, I want to say about 4 minutes. They took a recess. Brian Gomes took a recess because the city council didn't have the paperwork. Dennis Lawrence, the clerk, when he took the recess, he had to go out and they had a breakdown to print all the stuff so they could give it to the city councilors. Shouldn't they be prepared if they're calling for a meeting like that?
Yes, and thanks for the update, Gilly. I really appreciate you being there and retaining that information and sharing it with us. Yeah, I can't speak to that. Obviously, yeah, that doesn't really come on the council. I think it more comes on the professional staff. But I'm sure we'll get more details on that. But I will tell you that seems like a legitimate question, right? If there's been a new bidding on that property, public bidding, RFP, request for proposals, and the previous bidders who succeeded but then failed, right? The council voted them down. They couldn't get the zoning change. Why weren't they allowed or invited to bid? That is an interesting question. I think that Brian and I understand Derek Baptiste is involved in that as well. That's a very interesting question. So we'll be following that closely. I know I was just speaking with Tim, who's also in the news department. We've got our eye on that. We do. All right, folks, stick around. We're going to be right. If you're on hold, stay there. We're going to be right back. I do have to take a quick break, real quick one.
Yeah.
Welcome back. I'm Chris McCarthy, and you are the audience. We are taking your calls at 508-996-0500. We've had some people on hold. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hello, my friend. I had some heavy hitters on just before I called here.
That's right.
The Phillips Avenue School, I think Maria Giesta had to go along with the people in the neighborhood who don't want to see that area any more thickly settled. I think they park their cars in there.
I agree.
And I think she had to respond to her constituents. So that's the problem there. I think you're having the same problem with the conversation you had with the mayor around, I guess it's the Veterans Transitions House. With the building that used to house, I guess, something about Hetty Green's mansion or something like that.
It's one of the
same problem there, And I was surprised to hear the mayor, though, say, well, we should get together and see if we can have a compromise. I couldn't believe it. The mayor wanted to compromise. Oh, my, a kinder, gentler mayor, okay? But again, that's the thing they're going to have to do. These areas are thickly settled. There's more cars in the city than ever before.
Yes.
No place to put them. And I know they need housing and everything, but there's some sort of compromise has to be reached on that. As far as the NIP issue, to me, the city council should say, look, that's not the mayor's purview and his committee there. They're nice gentlemen on the committee. I understand that. Former police officers. But, that's something, a regulation that should be established by the city council, whether you're going to ban nip bottles. That's not the executive's purview. If you let John Mitchell do it, he'll do whatever he wants to do.
Right.
You got to provide some respectable opposition, to what he wants to do. And again, the fact that he talked about compromising was good about the other issue, but they're not standing for themselves. And even the people who own businesses, they're very eloquent. One gentleman in particular, get a lawyer and say this is not within the purview of the mayor's office and his people that represent him to pass laws. That's supposed to be the city council.
I can tell you that even up in Chelsea, where it was the licensing board that made the ban, it was started by the city council president. So it had its origins in the legislative body.
Yes.
And when I've read the decisions that happened at the ABCC, which is, the ultimate authority on licensings, liquor license, and they said we're not able to make a decision whether the licensing board had the authority or not. This has to, if you want to fight that, you got to go to Superior Court. That legal question really is yet to be settled by Superior Court.
I'm sure they don't want to do that. I'm sure the Superior Court has a lot of other things they want to do, and I think they would rather see it in the hands of the legislative body. That's just my opinion on that.
Well, they're the ones that have to say that the licensing board
I know.
can't do it, so do it in the legislative body.
Yeah, I know, but I think they got enough problems that they'd rather see this settled without getting it up there.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
That sort of thing. There was one other point. The cable people. What does it take for them to push a button so I can watch the city council meeting live, like South Coast Live, city council live? It's awful. I get these things every so often, and by chance, by flipping through the local community channels. What am I paying a cable company for? To me, that should be a no-brainer, so to speak, and it would keep maybe some people out of the council, too, so the councilors wouldn't have to worry about overcrowding.
I agree with you. I don't have an answer to that question, but I know the cable people, local cable access people are listening. Thanks for the call. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air.
Yeah, I never hear anything about, there was a shooting on Austin and Cedar Street the other day. I never hear any more about that.
So, there was a shooting over there. The police have on Cedar Street, the police have made an arrest in that case, but there are shootings all the time now.
I know, but it was that's very close to me, honey, and that's why I'm kind of
I get it.
A little bit nervous. You didn't even mention it to the mayor. Of course, he's going to say everything is, they don't tell you. He never tells you anything anyway. He'll just tell you what he, I don't know. It's a waste of time listening to the mayor, but you don't even ask him that about shootings?
Well, the thing is, thanks for the call. The mayor and I had a lot of things, and you're right. He has his position. His position is that, well, anyway, you know what the mayor's position is. Folks, stick around. I have to take a break. If you're on hold, stay right there. I do have to take, a very short break. We'll be right back. I'm Chris McCarthy. I remember when I brought this album home, Foreigner Head Games album, the cover was not endearing to my mother. But anyway, 508-99, it was the 80s, 508-9960-500. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
What's happening, Craig?
Same old. I was excited. Yesterday, finally a public safety meeting. So I was excited about that. So two things. Seymour Street. Hopefully the guy can just put a switch on his vehicle when he backs out. He can stop that noise, and he'll be happy over there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it. Put a switch on the vehicle. That's going to fix that issue. I don't know why nobody said that last night. They spent an hour and a half discussing it. Pretty simple fix. Takes 10 minutes to put the switch on. But anyways, the meeting yesterday, I got to get Derek, brought to the floor some of the issues. So I was excited to hear that. It was refreshing. But really, the major concern I had yesterday was kind of a Gomes statement, and I'm not going to say the exact wording because I don't, but something along the lines of the council should get the info, but the public shouldn't when something goes down. We as the public need to know if there's a shooting. I was talking to the chief after the meeting about this. Okay. If there's a shooting and people in the neighborhood are not at ease because they don't know what's going on, right? You got to get the information to the public, the people that are on the streets, as fast as we can without interfering with the investigation.
Right. I was going to say, I think that's probably what Councilor Gomes meant. You can't give out specific. It's a pending investigation. Mm-hmm. So that's probably what he means, but didn't really articulate it that way.
Yeah, sometimes he doesn't, articulate it right. Maybe that's what happened there, but I was just kind of eye-open, right? I'm like, okay, we need to know. And I'm not saying, hey, we're looking for this person. Just, there was a shooting, injuries, no injuries. Well, you're good. You don't have to worry about it. No threat to the area.
Craig, listen, the hour's running out, all right? But I want to hear more about what happened last night in the meeting. So I'm going to have Leon Corey here in the next hour. If you're available, and I know not everyone is, but if you're available in the 11 o'clock hour, if you could call back, because I don't want to cut you off, and I know you were at the meeting last night. And I do appreciate that. All right, brother, thanks. No, thanks. All right, folks, stick around for the local news, the national news, and we'll have a few minutes. And then after that, Leon Corey's here. Now, again,